Hello, Courage, Confidence, and Connections podcast fans. Welcome back to a new episode today. And my guest is Ema Davis. She is a B2B strategist and something else she just told me, but it's Monday when I'm recording this with her, and I think it just left the brain. So, anyway, welcome, Ema.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. So that's B2B strategist and designer. Thank you very much.
And a good designer she is. So, if you haven't had a chance to check out my website, you can go there and see her work. It is definitely a work of art. Definitely. So,
Thank you.
so we're on opposite sides of the country, Ema, and you're in somewhere in Georgia, as I recall.
Yeah, I'm in Decatur, Georgia.
Oh, nice, nice. That's part of Georgia I'd never been to, but Atlanta was enough for me.
Oh yeah. No, I don't recommend Metro where the traffic is, but there's plenty to do, plenty to see.
Absolutely. I went there and just to share a little story with our readers and you is I give away my age here when I tell you this, but the underground was still going on,
Hmm.
underground Atlanta, and they had the nightclubs and all this stuff. It was so cool.
Gotcha. I think my husband said they renovated that area, I believe, but I don't want to misspeak.
No, I think they may have. I believe that I might have gone down there after the renovation, but
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah, that was super cool. Super cool.
Nice.
And in Atlanta, tell us, myself, I know a lot about you because we've talked plenty, but tell our listeners a little bit about you. And I think you've got other family members that we might not want to disturb at the moment, but tell us a little bit about Ema and her life.
Sure. So I'm just a dorky blurred, as they say, black nerd from Montgomery, Alabama. I was born in Virginia because I was a military brat, Army, hoorah. But I landed in Atlanta for college. But I would say my formative years were in Montgomery, Alabama. So I'm just a classic Southern girl, just a little bit dorky. My husband and I, we have a miniature dachshund. We don't have children or family just yet, but we live a pretty simple, humble life in downtown Decatur. Um, we like to play Dungeons and Dragons and video games and different things like that. But obviously, a near and dear part to my heart is art. And so, I went to college for graphic design on a complete whim. I was initially supposed to go into journalism. But that was a bit dark for my heart. That was a little, I was like, it's a little bit difficult to incorporate, my artistic flair into that career. I'm sure it's possible, but it just wasn't for me. But definitely something that has become something that I love. And funny enough, it has grown from being largely focused in the healthcare industry to just being largely B2B corporate branding. And I know a lot of times when I say that, it seems like it may be boring, but it actually opens up a lot of opportunity for creativity. I think restriction breeds creativity. Um, so, and I've worked for a lot of different industries. I started off in healthcare, as I mentioned, but I've worked for geospatial technology companies. I've worked for global trade show companies, B2B tech companies, just the works. It's a nice wide range. And it gives you the chance to really explore how to communicate to different types of people, different types of audiences, which is one of my weaknesses, at least, before going into this field, very much dorky kid, awkward social anxiety, very difficult to speak. So it kind of pushes you to speak, ask questions, and understand how people think so that you can create designs that communicate the message that you want to communicate. Um,
Yeah.
Currently, I've been running sort of my own, I guess, side gig LLC for the past 12 plus years. While also just kind of juggling different jobs in between. Currently, I work for a health insurance TPA, which is very nice. It's interesting, it's different. But other than that, I just like to keep my eyes out for different opportunities to collaborate with folks like Janice or just anyone who can, use my help. Collaborations allow you to be able to learn new skills, allows you to be able to just make connections with people. That's what I value. And yeah, I guess that's a nice little snippet of my background.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. Now, what we discovered not long ago was that where you were born is where I spent a lot of my
Yeah,
years in the old Petersburg, Virginia. And
Berg, Virginia.
yep, I have to tell you, audience, Emma just about flipped when I said Petersburg. She couldn't believe me, could
Wrap
you?
my head around it. Nobody is from Petersburg. So I don't understand how
Yeah.
we're on different sides of the country and we've met, all these years later. And this is the first time I met somebody that's actually from Petersburg or grew up in Petersburg.
Yeah, I mean, we had family there growing up, so we visited usually several times a year. And, you know, I told you about the Civil War property that my great aunt had
Hmm.
her house on. So that was all fascinating to me. And
Yeah.
cannonballs and I don't know, all kinds of stuff on that property. It
Ooh.
was, yeah, Petersburg. Yep, it's a Civil War site for sure, but that was fantastic. Yeah, your creativity. Now we have talked about more. You've more than just business. I understand you've had your hands in some um artwork in the way of sketching and that type of thing. And actually, I think you mentioned you were interested in maybe possibly designing clothes or that type of thing because that creative spark is deep.
Yeah, yeah, I would love to get to a point where I have a little bit more freedom to explore different creative avenues outside of graphic design specifically. I
Mhm.
feel like, I guess I will say with the challenge of B2B corporate design is that, it becomes more commercial design as opposed to creative design. And so, the original inspiration was just the fact that I would draw pictures all the time as a kiddo. When I was four, one of our caretakers was an amazing artist, and it blew my mind. And as soon as I saw her being able to draw a portrait of me in like seconds, I was like, that's exactly what I want to do. I don't know how, but that's exactly what I want to do. Um, I I can't recall her name. It's been so long now, but if I can remember it, I'll give it to you to put into the description. But there was this daycare that I went to called Brickwood in Petersburg, Virginia. And this woman was just a fantastic artist. And so that kind of started it. And I used to draw all types of little doodles and cartoons and things. So to be able to elevate that now would be not just, you know, larger format artwork or digital illustration, but I do have a small passion for fashion. I wouldn't say I'm a fashionista, but I have an interest in it. I love the idea of being able to kind of like sketch out an outfit that I want to fit myself or other people. Um, I just because I'm a little bit of a tall woman. I'm 5'8" and a little bit curvaceous. It's sometimes hard to find clothes that like fit all the way to the end of your limbs. My husband has a similar issue. It's like it
Oh,
fits, but it doesn't actually fit. And so that it just fosters more and more ideas. You're like, okay, it's one thing for it to fit, but like also, what if you had a lace patch? What if you had different types of textures or things like that on your clothing in different areas. And I think I naturally kind of saw that going to the Art Institute. There were a lot of different fashion students that I would bond with. Um, in my work study, I worked in career services for almost 2 years. So I was making the resumes and portfolio websites for all of these other different students, 3D artists, animators, fashion designers, all types of folks while trying while trying to get my degree. So I'm seeing all this amazing stuff that they're doing. And I'm like, am I in the right career? Should I be trying to do that? That looks fun. Um, so there's that. And one of you have to take sort of a standard photography course. Not my highest strength, but I see the value in photography. I see the vision that you can create through photography. So that is something that I am looking to strengthen because I just feel like it parallels fashion very well, photography. Like it's one thing to capture to create the vision, but then to capture it as well. and then use that to advertise in a commercial sense. So that is something that has always appealed to me as well. So, you know, that goes down into makeup, hair, nails, all of these different, that goes down, it trickles down into all these different avenues. And I have, different points of contact that do those things. So I'm able to kind of do it for fun on my own
Oh,
personally, but to be able to, have the stability to learn those skills and just explore it just because I want to, not, it doesn't even have to be because I'm selling a product. That is something that would be nice to explore. Using the skills that I've just developed over the past decade and some change. So yeah.
I think that's fantastic. And another little point of interest that we discovered is that I learned to sew at 8 years old by
That's
spending
so
so much time
cool.
with my Aunt Hetty in Petersburg, Virginia, who happened
Hmm.
to be a professional tailor, as it were. Um, and so I learned that at such a very young age. And I look back at pictures and go, in high school, what I was making was phenomenal. I even designed a wedding gown from multiple patterns and put it together to get what I wanted. And so I understand that. Yeah, I understand that we're all built different and it's not all sitting in the stores on the rack and it's going to fit everybody. It's not.
Right. Yeah.
It's definitely not. So I
Hmm.
think that's a great aspiration and learning to take that creative ability because you have a lot of it. You have a lot of talent and not just in the website design, but that talent and the passion that it comes from. So let's talk courage. Let's talk stepping out of the comfort zone with some courage. Where in your life do you think you have or want to, have more courage to do things that are not as they're easy, they come naturally, but what do you think? Where has courage played a part in your life?
Uh, let's see. I think I think everything that I've accomplished has required courage because I'm just a very anxious and paranoid person. I'm anxious to do or try anything, but I just do it anyway because I am more afraid of not doing something or staying in place than what the possible outcomes can be. And I
Yeah.
suppose I have some faith that I can figure things out because I've gotten this far. You know, in terms of courage, I mean, I started my LLC way back in 2011. Like that was just a leap of faith. But it has helped me tremendously to reach where I'm at. Just saying hello and having a conversation, with people has opened up doors. It allowed me to meet my husband, and he's amazing. And it's just and now his family has become my family. I wasn't as close to my personal family growing up, and it's just taking baby steps has taken me much further than I expected. So it's like I'm still scared. I'm still very much terrified, but I'm still doing it. I'm very much screaming as I jump into the fire. So, but it's yielded good results. And the more and more that I just kind of go for it and try to push myself, push my boundaries, um the more I kind of gain confidence. But it is bit by bit, but you know, I guess the only thing that I've committed to is just making sure that I try and that I do something that I have not done before. Um, so I hope that that's acceptable.
No, that's fantastic. Courage can come at any level. It can be trying something as simple as I'm going to start sketching again, or I want to learn to sew, like you're
Yeah.
talking about. Or it can come as something like I'm going to go, oh, there's a mountain over there. I really want to get in shape to climb. Now that's not my thing. I don't do that. And I just as soon stay away from mountains and big rocks myself. But there are
Same here. On the heights.
I know. So courage comes in all sizes for it's different for everybody. It really, really is.
Mhm.
Everybody's got to embrace courage in their own terms. And and truly, when you start doing things that it takes courage to do, it does build your confidence. How have you seen that play in your life?
Uh, well, I guess just pursuing this career at all.
Hmm.
Um, as I mentioned earlier, I was going to go into journalism, but I felt iffy about it. I wasn't sure. And in the moment, my mentor at the time, I went to like one of those, I guess, gifted high schools. I'm not really sure what you call it. They had like magnet programs, and I was in broadcast media, so hence why I was going to go into journalism. But my teacher slash mentor at the time mentioned graphic design. It was my first time even hearing that word. Uh, and he said that might be a better thing. And I just dove in and immediately applied for that for college. There was boot camp for the Navy in between, but that's a different timeline that we'll talk about later. But I just dove in and applied, not knowing what it even was. So I
Oh,
knew that it was a risk because I could very much be just terrible at it, not truly understanding what it was, understanding how to like make a living out of it. And, you know, making a living in general these days is a challenge, but I'm fairly comfortable, right now. And I'm doing something that is not typical, especially as a woman of color. There are not very many of me in my field. It's very typical to be an only, as we say sometimes, especially in B2B companies, B2B tech companies, startups, and things like that. So I took a leap of faith knowing that so that I could have this creative avenue because that wasn't really negotiable for me. So I think that that's an example of me having to be brave, knowing that I was going to have inevitable challenges, but overcome them nonetheless. So,
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you ventured into an area that is not virtually untapped, but at the time you ventured into it,
yeah.
was, yeah. It definitely can take a lot of that courage to build that confidence to, okay, I'm going to do this. And you've got the natural gifting for it, and you embraced that natural gift and that natural talent that you've got. But you're a fun person too, so I know you're not somebody that'll just sit behind the computer 1,000% of the time. And but you're fun. You've got a cute little dog, and so do you guys go out and do anything adventurous? I know your husband's musical and in nature, and you told me that. So yeah, what kind of fun things do you guys enjoy doing with all that creative ability in that household?
Yeah. Well, his family has started a tradition where we have what we call Fochella. So the family comes together and we're basically fake versions of celebrities. So his younger brother is Fusher, y'all can guess what that's supposed to be. And so we have karaoke and we all cook good food. My husband and I love to cook together. That's yet another, fun thing that we can do sort of creatively, come up with new dishes. Um, what else do we like to do? We like to go out, find new restaurants. I like to shop for him sometimes, I like to kind of dress him up, have a fashion show because it can't just be me. It's got to be somebody else that's also that's also dressing up. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we like to have fun. There's a lot of animals in the family, so we love animals. Anytime that we can interact with dogs or cats or anything like that is also a plus. Um,
Yeah, that's great. That's
Sure,
great.
I'm leaving out some other things, but those are some of the highlights.
Yeah, on the note of loving to cook, I had the pleasure of watching your first YouTube video that you guys are going to endeavor to break out into a cooking channel. But tell our audience, it's not just a this is how you cook this. I want you to explore this with our audience because I find it fascinating, and I've never seen anybody do this.
Yeah, our hope is to be able to kind of like dive into history a little bit with cooking. So we're not only just cooking some standard recipes or even ones that maybe most folks haven't heard of, but we're also trying to look into like the history of those dishes. What is the inspiration behind it? What cultures sort of inspired the original dishes? What are the variations between when it was first created versus, maybe how it transformed over time? That's something that we'd really like to do as well, because we're just a couple of big dorks. We like to look at, science videos, history videos, things that I just feel like I didn't really get to pay attention to growing up because, you're just trying to tread water. But now we're at a point where we can learn for fun. And so why not pair learning with something that we enjoy to do, which is cooking? Why don't we learn like where did this come from? What inspired this? What counts as a truly American dish versus something that maybe was inspired that was brought over here when America was first founded. I'm fascinated by those types of facts and it kind of gives you more ideas about other dishes to cook as well. So yeah.
That's that's fantastic. What is the name of that YouTube channel for our audience?
Nuggets and soup. Yeah, so you can add that link into your description. Nuggets and soup is our channel.
Yeah, we'll definitely get that out there because we're going to be looking for the chili as the next one and the history of chili and probably a lot of fun information. I've got a good friend who likes to he always putting out his food pictures on Facebook and such and his whole thing is the science of cooking and it's similar history and science of it. So you get into the details of things most of us don't even think about.
Yes, 100%.
We just enjoy eating it.
Yes, 100%. That's the best part.
Oh, that is great. Well, what is a favorite food of you and your husband?
Oh gosh. I'd say recently it's been Korean barbecue. I
Oh.
just, you can't go wrong. And we had it the other day actually with my younger sister and her friend. Um, we're blessed enough to live in Decatur, so there's like plenty of food spots around here. So yeah, we popped over and had some like pork belly and ribeye and some pork shoulder. Oh my goodness, I'm starting to make myself hungry now. But like come to Atlanta or Decatur and get you some Korean barbecue because it's delicious. Yeah, highly recommend.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever had Korean barbecue. Now, growing up in North Carolina, the barbecue that I grew up with, not my thing because I'm sure you're familiar with it being from Virginia and
Mhm.
living in Georgia. You probably had that horrible vinegary chopped stuff, or have you?
Vinegary chopped.
Yeah,
What protein?
they chop the pork and then it's just covered in vinegar and these little red pepper flakes, I think.
Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah, it's that okay, that's my preference. I don't care for it. Some people love it. And then I went to Texas and visited and I had barbecue. I went, oh now this I like Texas.
you said you went
Texas,
to Texas? Oh, well, Texas, they do everything better in Texas.
don't they? Yeah. I haven't had Korean barbecue and it sounds like it'd be really, really good.
Yeah, I can recommend some places. What's nice is like they grill it right in front of you. So, everything that you have is like super fresh. There's a ton of side dishes that pair very nicely.
Mhm.
I recommend just trying a little sip of some Korean alcohol. I was gonna say sake, but I believe that's Japanese. Soju. Thank you. Soju. Please try some soju. It just all goes together absolutely perfectly, and you will have the best sleep you've ever had in your life.
Interesting. I don't know out here in Oregon if we have a Korean barbecue. There's other stuff, but hmm,
You
have to
might.
think about that. They might somewhere around, but yeah, there's so much to food and so much to you can explore, so many flavors. And
Mm,
yeah, I think your channel is gonna be really a good hit for you.
thank you.
It will be fun to sit and watch and learn about it. Now, granted, since I don't have, well, I do have Toby, my cat, which everybody has probably heard by now because he's on most.
Hoping.
Yes, he just has to get a word in when I'm on. He's and he really loves you, Emma. He thinks you're just like all that.
He's so sweet.
He
Oh,
really is. Speaking of eating, yeah, that cat, he can eat. But this has been great. I applaud your creativity. And again, folks, to get to see what she can do, you can look at my website. I'm telling you, she got me. We talked and she just did her homework. she's the one to call to get a not some techie website, but a creative, something that is you if you're looking for somebody to build a website. And who knows what else she's going to get her fingers into with the sketching. And I don't know, she may have a fashion channel sometime. Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe.
And a music channel with that husband of yours playing how many different instruments? So,
Jillian tells me I over exaggerate, but I don't think so.
yeah, but I think it's great. I think you guys have a really fun life, and it's good to do that because in the business that you're in, it can get so intense. And
100%.
yeah, and if you don't find some way to have fun, life just gets too much.
Mhm,
But
for
that's
sure.
fantastic. But now, okay, the connections part of this podcast is how we connected on a, I think we were networking or something, and we just hit it off and
Yeah.
got together. So connections, yeah, connections are very valuable, and you've got a lot of really good family connect or his family connections at least,
Mhm.
and that that's just wonderful. That makes you you're a pretty well-rounded individual with your life, it sounds like.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I also
Absolutely.
have a pretty broad professional network, so if anyone needs
Hmm.
support, connections, please connect with me to properly put you in contact with the right person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that you do have. You've got a great network. And that's a good thing for both of us because we both got resources that can help anybody out, just probably
Right.
regardless.
Yeah.
And yeah, but this is so much fun to get to interview people like yourself, and especially on different sides of the country. And since
Yeah.
we're talking, it's probably your dinner time by now. We've talked about food enough. We're both sitting here getting hungry.
Look, I've got half of our entree already sitting on the stove, so all
Oh
good.
man, yeah, I prepped my main dinner before we got on, even though
Oh,
it's
good, good.
yeah, I'm one of those people that likes to eat early, so yeah. But
Mhm. Good.
but Toby will talk me into eating earlier than
Toby's like, I'm not willing to wait.
he's all over the food, yeah. But this has been great. Anything, any words of wisdom or advice, or just in general comments to wrap up our session here?
I feel like I feel like two phrases I've followed is the first one, nothing's as ever as bad as it seems. Like it can be, but it's still not as bad as what you thought. And the other is always assume goodwill. Don't think people are out to get you. Most of the time, everyone's pretty much on the same page. Most of the time, everyone by default means well. Assume goodwill and it guides you very, very well.
Good words of wisdom there. I totally agree. I'm all about, you know, having that positive attitude and looking at the bright side of things. And one more compliment for you is that you are Johnny on the spot, so to speak. When I when I have an emergency, I go, oh my gosh, what is this? I'm sure. I hope everybody's not doing that to you, but you are wonderful and I appreciate you so much.
All good. No worries at all.
And this has been a blast. As we get that hear more and more about this cooking channel and whoever knows what else she's going to get into, we will probably have another podcast talking about her cooking. Who knows?
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully we'll chat soon.
Oh, I'm sure we will. Well, audience, thank you for joining us. Ema Davis has been my just wonderful guest. And this is Janice Debo signing off for another Courage, Confidence, and Connections podcast. And we will see you next time.